I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years.
And I have given all the proofs of who was involved with Diddy. I have presented the videotape of Diddy's parties as evidence. Now no one can save Diddy and the other celebs. Jay-Z, after watching the rest of the documentary, you'll understand everything.
Today's not looking good for Sean Combs. Netflix just dropped a bomb, what 50 Cent calls the next chapter of The Reckoning. No countdown, no warning, no flashy trailer. It just landed out of nowhere. And when something hits that quiet, people don't lean back, they lean in. That kind of silence usually means folks already knew what was coming. This ain't no sequel made to entertain. It's a continuation built to shake things up. The first series felt like a pause, not an ending. Now, the follow-up lands right when everyone thought the storm had passed. That's no accident, that's timing. The first doc hit when headlines were wild. This one lands after things cooled down, just when people stop paying attention. And that's exactly why it hits harder. 50 Cent isn't calling this a takedown, he's calling it context. Footage that didn't fit before, conversations never meant to resurface, visuals that line up faces and places people never realized overlapped. Nothing's shouted, nothing's labeled, and that's what messes with people's heads. When the story doesn't tell you how to feel, you start feeling it. Before we go deeper, like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because this one's moving quick, and the next twist won't come with a warning. What stands out here is restraint. It's not a mash of accusations, it's proximity. Who was there? When? How often? That's where the unease kicks in. Jay-Z's name doesn't pop up as a headline, it shows up through association. Same spaces, same moments, lined up side by side like nobody ever did before. That's why some say nothing new, while others can't unsee the patterns. This release doesn't beg for verdicts, it just kills the distance. It reminds you time never solved anything. And when you realize this ain't about one man, but about silence protecting whole systems, everything feels heavier. Once that sinks in, the story doesn't have to blow up, it just has to exist. What makes it strong is the patience, the slow pacing, the quiet moments that hold just long enough for you to catch what usually gets cut. The awkward pauses, the drifting eyes, the way clarity slips right when it's close. This isn't about a single clip changing everything. It's about how nothing ever changed because no one ever finished the conversation. The same rooms, the same circles, questions left hanging. Open questions don't fade, they stick, especially when the same names keep returning year after year. None of this pretends to be new evidence, it's remembered evidence, stuff people once brushed off, but distance collapsed and memory got sharp. Suddenly, nostalgia feels like investigation. This chapter doesn't accuse, it observes. It lets the repetition talk. The same faces, the same silences, the same moments where the industry chose time over truth. The power's not in the shock, it's in alignment. When you see the same patterns touch, you can't unsee it. Silence doesn't feel neutral anymore, it feels strategic. That's why reactions split. Some see old clips, others feel a shift. This isn't proof, it's pressure. Pressure that builds when unfinished stories stop being left unfinished. It doesn't need to explode, it just needs to stay. What's really changing here is responsibility. Who kept showing up when things got unclear? Who disappeared when clarity would have taken more than a polished statement? The doc doesn't push accusations, it pulls context back in. It makes you realize how much stayed unresolved. The entertainment world runs on fragments, a headline without the follow-up, an interview that promised more later, a clip that cut off too soon. None of it looks suspicious alone, but stack it together and it feels intentional. Not because someone planned chaos, because nobody ever felt pressure to finish the story. Reputation carried the load, image replaced truth, and that's where the focus flips from people to systems. Systems that reward silence over clarity. Systems that know outrage fades fast. The doc doesn't say it, it shows it. The same calm, the same half answers, the same confidence that explaining isn't required because it never was. What's wild is how normal it all looks. No panic, no mess, just distance. Distance once looked like professionalism. Now it feels like insulation. And that's the new tension. Not who's guilty, but who keeps quiet. Viewers aren't told to take sides, they're told to watch. Who stays real when things get uncomfortable? Who hides behind time? These patterns don't scream guilt, they expose priorities. Silence wasn't a gap, it was a strategy.
You've gotten your hands on some extra new material people are going to see for the first time, including this video. Any journalist would want to know how you got it, but it is Sean Diddy Combs in the heat of this, right before the arrest for the trial we just discussed.
From the still no indictment.
Bro, then you have to have a spokesman. You have to have some sort of comms to constantly be pushing that, Mark. It could be somebody that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business of media.
50, how'd you get it, and what does that scene show?
Well, I mean, you know, you're a journalist, Harvey. Harvey, you would not disclose your sources.
We usually don't.
Yeah, but I got it. Yeah.
What he said.
and, you know, I wish we were able to have Diddy be in the doc. So he could have said some things that, you know, make people understand why people are saying these things about him.
The outreach went to his team and they gave denials, but he didn't want to participate.
Yeah. They all said we had beef for 20 years, but I have hired both of his sons for different projects that I worked on, both two different television shows. I don't know why he didn't file bankruptcy. Like, it would have indicated to the sharks that even if you see blood in the water, there's not that much blood. It is going to exhaust them. The legal process will exhaust them.
It was a method, a way to let time pass without closure. Trusting memory would fade faster than curiosity. But memory didn't fade, it stacked. And once stacks grow high, coincidences stop feeling random. Power didn't hide truth, it controlled interpretation. Now even old clips feel heavier, not because they prove something new, but because they won't disappear. The shift's not louder, it's deeper. The story stopped being about what's new, it's about what returns. Old interviews feel unfinished. The same answers repeat while questions evolve. And when answers don't evolve, they sound rehearsed. The pattern isn't fear, it's discipline. Discipline that knows when not to talk, when to let reputation do the work. For years, that worked. A clip here, a headline there, never the full picture. But now people are lining it all up. When moments sit side by side, tone matters more than words. Just enough openness to look honest, never enough to be recorded. Silence doesn't feel like restraint, it feels designed. A system built to keep stories open so they never end. Because endings bring accountability. Open stories bring comfort. And this time, people aren't chasing shock, they're tracking behavior. Who stays when things get tough? Who fades? Who explains? Who delays? That quiet watching is more powerful than outrage. It doesn't burn out, it builds. And when it builds, silence turns into evidence. By now, silence is part of the story itself. The same faces reappear in the same half-explained places. Familiar scenes now sit uncomfortably close. When proximity replaces distance, interpretation flips. You start seeing how many chances there were for clarity, but every time, distraction won. A new headline, a new project, movement instead of closure. Movement became the illusion of progress. People thought forward motion meant healing, but it didn't. This chapter forces us to face that truth. How often stories were redirected instead of resolved. How often legacy filled in the blanks. Legacy strong, It reassures instead of argues, and reassurance worked because people weren't looking closely, but now they are. Folks aren't demanding conclusions, they're tracking consistency. Does today's tone match yesterday's? Does silence always hit the same pressure points? These aren't accusations, they're measurements, and when you measure things, the illusion breaks. Nothing here feels random, it feels intentional. Every pause, every delay, every calm answer feels timed. Silence isn't hiding everything, it's skipping the parts that matter most. Once you see that pattern, it explains itself. Now people aren't waiting for reveals, they're studying absences. The missing answers, the dodged follow-ups, they pile up until absence itself becomes presence. It starts to feel like maybe some things were never meant to end in public. That realization doesn't spark anger, it sparks focus. The real tension now isn't from what's shown, it's from what's held back. Not hidden, but withheld. The footage exists, the faces are there, the timeline's clear, yet the closure never comes. What's missing is the connective tissue, the thread that would turn all the fragments into one full picture, and that absence speaks louder than any new evidence. People stop watching and start comparing. They remember old responses and match them to new ones. The same calm voice, the same move forward tone, the same refusal to unpack things fully. That's not proof, that's habit, and habit has power. It doesn't react, it repeats. From the outside, repetition looks like avoidance, not fear, confidence. The kind that says, we never had to explain before, so why now? And the scary part, it worked. Not because people were fooled, but because they were trained. Trained to see silence as professionalism, distance as maturity, to think if something mattered, someone else would have said it. But that logic crumbles under focus, and now focus is all anyone's got. People aren't angry, they're attentive. They're logging every delay, every postponed answer. They see time being used as cover, not cure. Silence used to depend on forgetting, but forgetting's not happening this time. Now the pressure's quiet, but constant. No shouting, no forced conclusions, just steady awareness. And that awareness changes the game.
Now, Fifth, when you continuously call Puff gay, does that affect your relationships in Hollywood?
I don't call him gay. I said,
Let me read it, Fifth.
Oh my God.
Sorry I can no longer help you guys. Soon you will all be gay and happy. You are all now left under leadership of Puffy Daddy. Report to the nearest rainbow. Dinner Thieves in theaters January 19th.
That's why he says things. He doesn't even know what he's saying is like fruity. You know what I'm saying? Like, he says something fabulous and he goes, but me and you, we ain't party. Like, we need to party.
I like when you like this, Daddy.
Where you put my bag?
Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping. When you scrambling and scraping.
I'm talking about for your birthday.
Huh?
Why won't you party with me for your birthday, man?
We partied for my birthday before. You came to my party.
No, but me and you ain't never really party, you know what I'm saying?
What is he talking about? People say that to me, I get a little uncomfortable. Like he said something to me one time, a long time ago. At Chris Lighty's wedding, he told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
Oh, that's a nice gesture.
Let me get out of no, dude, take me. That's what a guy says to a girl.
Everything's measured. Calm words, slow pace, no denials, just enough acknowledgement to appear transparent, never enough to explain. That discipline doesn't come from chaos, it comes from experience. But time's not fixing things anymore. The audience isn't scrolling, they're sitting down, watching again, comparing notes, noticing the same behaviors repeating, the same pauses, the same deflections. Repetition used to mean control, now it means exposure. Tension doesn't explode, it deepens, because nothing new has to happen for the pressure to rise. Closure was never the goal, control was. Control over timing, focus, and the illusion of finality. What's wild is realizing how silence used to be seen as strength. Distance looked like maturity. Unfinished stories felt complete just because people stopped asking. That only works when people move on, but they didn't this time. Now every quiet moment adds weight. Every delay gets noticed. Mental tracking has replaced outrage, and that's dangerous for systems built on patience. Curiosity didn't fade this time, it stabilized. Now the story feeds on consistency. Every repeated move becomes data. Every skipped explanation becomes part of the case. Silence itself has become the message. Once people recognize that, it stops protecting anything, it defines it. From here, nothing needs to be said. The audience already knows how to listen. Curiosity has turned into recognition. Recognition of structure, how stories were delayed, softened, and spaced out so they'd never collide. But once they do, patterns form, and patterns don't argue, they just wait to be noticed. The archive already exists. Old clips, old statements, old smiles that once seemed harmless now feel incomplete. Unfinished moments carry weight. Silence no longer reads as restraint, it reads as choice. Repeated choices form habit, and habit shows design. People aren't yelling questions, they're asking steady ones. Unanswered questions don't vanish, they mature. They become checkpoints that shape how every new moment is received. That's why timing matters more than words now. People notice when answers come fast for one thing, but slow for another. They notice when clarity is convenient and when it disappears. No emotion, just analysis. And the weirdest part? Everything still looks calm. No panic, no mess, just the same control as before. But distance only works when people stop measuring it, and this crowd isn't stopping. The story doesn't need new twists, it's set. These stories don't vanish, they turn into pressure that hums in the background, never screaming, but never leaving. Now silence isn't emptiness, it's content. Every pause is part of the record, every non-response says something. The power flipped, the audience runs the memory now. Memory doesn't reset, it waits. The question isn't what's next, it's what happens when nothing comes. Because silence stretched this long feels deliberate. That deliberate silence changes how every old moment is read. People aren't chasing shock, they're hunting consistency. Comparing when words were said and who stayed silent. The same pauses hit the same spots every time. That's not coincidence, that's pattern. This isn't accusation, it's alignment. Old interviews sound cautious in the same places. Old answers feel rehearsed around the same topics. What once looked harmless now looks unfinished by design. And that incompleteness is powerful. It lets people assume it was handled privately, lets stories fade without closure. But that trick doesn't work anymore. Time stopped cleaning things up because the audience stopped forgetting. Now everything's side by side. No more decades between context. The gaps glow under the light. They don't accuse individuals, they expose the process. How attention was redirected, how questions were delayed until they felt unnecessary. That's why this feels heavy without being loud. The weight comes from accumulation, from seeing the same move work again and again without question. Silence used to mean control, now it reads as calculation. And calculation brings scrutiny, the kind that doesn't fade. From now on, every public move gets filtered through this lens. Every statement measured against what wasn't said before. Every pause compared to older ones. Once those comparisons start, they don't stop. This isn't about endings anymore, it's about permanence. Once people notice how the story's been shaped, they can't unsee it. The narrative doesn't collapse, it freezes. And frozen narratives don't vanish, they wait. So if you're following this saga, stay sharp. Hit like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment, because this story is not slowing down. The next street signal video is about to hit, and trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.
Hand out my pocket, man. Get your hand out my pocket. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing on the channel. Get your hand out my pocket, man. Look at me when I'm talking to you. I see, yo. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, man. I see what you're doing. Nah, look at me, man. I see what you're doing, man. Yeah, you gonna make me. Okay,